You know that thing you accidentally run into? Well, that's Flittle, and it's actually broken in competitive Little Cup Pokémon, a format where you use basic form, unevolved Pokémon at level 5. Honestly, even for Little Cup, Flittle's base stat total is not great. Just compare it to the other relevant Psychic type in the tier, Girafarig. Base stat total isn't the end-all be-all. Plenty of Pokémon can have a mediocre base stat total but can still be good, like Arena Trap Diglett. But generally speaking, BST is correlated with strength, and Flittle doesn't have a lot of it. Even Flittle's move pool is terrible too. It doesn't get a lot of non-Psychic type attacks. So why is it broken? Flittle is the pre-evolution of Espathra, and if you know anything about standard play, you'll know what that means. Flittle does exactly the same thing as Espathra and OU, but better. For the uninitiated, the reason is because of its hidden ability Speed Boost and the move's stored power. That particular combination has never been seen before, and it means that every turn Flittle's on the field, it gets stronger and stronger. If you don't handle Flittle in time, it'll spiral out of control and start throwing off a high base power stored power while also outspeeding every single Pokémon. The fact that Flittle has zero coverage doesn't matter when you can Terrestrialize and use Terra Blast for coverage. Notably, you can use Terra Fighting to beat Poniard, whose typing plus Sucker Punch would ordinarily match up well versus Flittle. Beating Flittle can be challenging when it can also change its type. Fundamentally, the key to beating Flittle is to shut it down while it's still early before its stored power goes crazy. But if it gets that Terrestrialization right, that buys it at least one more turn to get going. If you use a Dark move into Terra Fighting and Flittle uses Calm Mind, it means stored power just gains 60 base power. At the same time, you can't not use a Dark type move on it, because if it stays a Psychic type and lives a hit, it could gain 60 base power anyway. Flittle even has other options too, like Terra Fire to beat Tinkatink, the tier's other Steel type option. It creates a nasty situation where the entire game can hinge on whether or not you outplay the Terrestrialization, and even then it might not be good enough. Despite Flittle's low bulk, just like everything in Little Cup, it can also hold the Eviolite item. Notably, Knockoff has a very low distribution right now, with a lot of Pokemon not actually getting the move. Notably, Poniard doesn't actually have Knockoff. With the combination of Eviolite and Roost, Flittle can maintain some form of longevity despite not having great stats overall, and then strike once it's boosted enough. To add insult to injury, while you didn't need to do it, you could also use Flittle with Reflect and Light Screen support too. Girafarig and Impidimp are both excellent Reflect and Light Screen Pokemon and can easily set up a Flittle win. Besides Reflect and Light Screen, you also had other options too, like Memento Diglett and Memento Glimmet. Memento Diglett in particular has always been a setup super's best friend with Arena Trap, as you can trap and choose what you want your Flittle to set up on. Using Memento to sacrifice a Pokemon merely for a stat reduction isn't something you would ordinarily do in-game, but it's a deadly strategy in competitive play because sacrificing one Pokemon is worth it if it means you can knock out 6. You often had to try and tag team it with combinations like Poniard plus physical Girafarig. Poniard could sacrifice itself to draw out the Terrestrialization, and then Girafarig could use a move like Zen Headbutt now that the type was locked in. You also had stuff like Haze Marini who could kind of take it on, but overall wasn't great. It's worth noting that Vullaby isn't in the game, and Murkrow, who would still have trouble with Terra Electric anyway, is already banned. In fact, Murkrow has been banned in every edition of Little Cup it's been available in. It's just statistically better than everything around it. This is kind of expected though, it wasn't originally designed to be a pre-evolution. Overall, Calm Mind Flittle was just overpowered because of the Calm Mind stored power combination spiraling out of control, and with Terrestrialization, Dark and Steel type Pokemon can't take it on effectively.